What is a customs bonded warehouse? It's a scheme set up in the customs law that enables businesses operation with the introduction for a limited time of foreign, national, or nationalized goods to be subject to handling, storage, custody, exhibition, sale, distribution, production, or processing or repair. Bonded warehouses are secure buildings or areas in which durable goods can be stored and manipulated, and companies can undertake manufacturing operations without a payment of duty. Usually established by the state or private enterprise, bonded warehouses have been around worldwide since early 1980s. The purpose of a bonded warehouse is to provide official supervision and security before the payment of a duty. The duty then becomes payable only when goods are taken out of the warehouse for end consumption.
They pay no taxes on foreign trade on the countervailing duties except in the case of foreign goods. In case provided for in Article 63A of the Custom Law.
They are not subject to regulatory compliance and non-tarific restrictions and official Mexican standards, except those issued in environmental, animal, and plant health, public health, and national security.
The shortages resulting from the processes of production, processing, or repair shall not cause any contribution or countervailing duties.
Goods entering under this regime can be removed from said enclosure like in the next cases. First, if goods are definitely imported, if they are of foreign origin. Second, if goods are definitely exported, if they are of domestic origin. Also, if goods are returned to the foreign origin of that market or returned to the national origin when beneficiaries desist from this regime. Also, if goods are imported temporarily by factories or companies with export programs authorized by the Ministry of Economy, and also if the goods are devoted to the system of tax warehouse.
It was established that the bonded warehouses must be adjacent to a custom, like interior border, sea, or airport, be not less than 50 acre surface, be lined and protected, and to have a closed TV circuit.
The liability for the merchandise under a warehouse bond is generally canceled when the merchandise is exported, withdrawn for supplies to a vessel of aircraft, destroyed under CBP supervision, or withdrawn for consumption within the United States after payment of duty. Currently, in Mexico, there are 7 strategic bonded warehouses in San Luis Potosí, Colombia, Nuevo León, Ciudad Juárez, Chihuahua, Lázaro Cárdenas, Michoacán, Puerto Chiapas, Chiapas, and some in the Ciudad Obregón, Sonora.
Contribution of the bonded warehouses to the country. It aims to strengthen the competitiveness level of the manufacturing industry established in Mexico, especially those whose operations are geared towards international markets, bringing down logistic costs and raising the efficiency of customs operations. Because when you have more competition, it's necessary to adopt new policies to allow our country not only preserve its current level of production, but also to attract new projects and investments involving job creation, technology transfer, and human capital development. Value to your product while benefiting local businesses that provide service or sell their inputs to achieve the required actions for value creation. They intend to increase the competitiveness of the nation and encourage international trade. This way, there is an important reduction of cost and time to able to perform various processes of a value chain in one place.
Bonded warehouses historical background in Mexico as globalization spread in the tentacles in the 1980s and 1990s. Mexico was forced to came up with the commercial logistics and infrastructure to handle increased international trade, putting the country in the strategical inviolable position of the American continent. This fortunate state of affairs brought by an innovation the concept of the strategic bandar warehouses. Located at Maritime and island ports in the left and Berat, Mexico, their warehouses receive merchandise destined for sale or raw materials and manufacturing components with a view to obtain tax exemption in Mexico and the thereafter of import duties. Bonded warehouses are some where imported merchandise and subject to duties and value added tax. Only during such time as is the place on the domestic market. Mexico has bonded warehouses at airports, seaports, and along roads that are essential to the logistics of international supply chains. Chosen for its proximity to NAFTA roads, San Luis Potosí hosted the very first warehouse of its kind in Mexico. It's important to mention that bonded warehouses new regime should not be confused with the previous models of temporary importation as factories or companies operating under this program.
What can be introduced in a bonded warehouse? All merchandise subject to duty may be entered for warehousing except perishables and explosive substances.
How does a bonded warehouse work? We need to know that full accountability of merchandise entered into a customs bonded warehouse must be maintained. That merchandise will be inventoried and the proprietor's records will be audited on a regular basis. Bonded merchandise may not be cumulated to the domestic merchandise and must be kept separate from unbonded merchandise. When goods are moved under bond into a customs bonded warehouse, a customs warehouse entry is filled and customs duties are not paid at that time. Duties are paid when goods are withdrawn from the warehouse for consumption into the commerce of United States. Merchandise in the customs bonded warehouse may, with certain exceptions, be transferred from the one bonded warehouse to another without impact of merchandise status. If the goods are exported outside the United States or destroyed under customs supervision, duties are not paid. Goods, which are unconditionally free of duty or free under a special trade program, may also enter a customs bonded warehouse.
Types of customs warehouse. There are two main types of customs warehouse. A public warehouse is operated by a warehouse keeper for the storage of goods placed under the customs warehousing procedure by other traders known as depositors. Another type, a private warehouse, can be used to store goods deposited by an individual trader who is authorized as the warehouse keeper. The warehouse keeper need not necessarily own the goods, but they must be the depositor.
Customs operation. To understand how strategic fiscal area works, two levels of authorizations are distinguished. The first one,
Article 14D of the Custom Act provides that persons having the use or enjoyment of property within of adjacent to a boundary warehouses, supervised or area in the case of maritime customs, border interior rail and air traffic. They may request the tax administration service, enabling this opportunity for the entry of goods under the regime of strategic fiscal area and authorization for administration. The unable property is called strategic fiscal area. Those who obtain the qualification of the building to operate has a strategic fiscal area will be responsible to administer, monitor, and control and must comply with the guidelines determined by the Tax Administration Service. Administrators must also make available to the Customs Authority approved facility for the clearance of good function and cover the costs involved in maintaining such installation, purchase, install, and make available to the Customs Authority to spay equipment course clearance and automatic system for the control of good peoples and vehicles area of without for the site. That is Article 14D regulates the figure and the administrator fiscal area, which is very similar to the operator in the free zones. The administrator monitor, control, and maintain service and user the perform operation within the precinct much like factory park manner.
number 2, speaking of users of the site, Article 135A of Customs Law stipulates that those with the use of enjoyment of properties in strategic bonded warehouse enabled on the terms of Article 14D may apply for approval to allocate such goods scheme. This provision also distinguishes between the figure of the administrator and the user to establish that they cannot obtain the authorizations referred in Article 135A. A people who are authorized to administer the strategic bonded as 14D.
Well-equipped warehousing wherever you're importing into the country. You need to know it can be stored prior to selling. Bonded warehouses often specialize in certain types of stock from bulk liquids to the deep freeze products. Wherever your is storage can be stored on premise capable of handling the loan.
Why are the bonded warehouses secure? Bonded warehouses have another great benefit: security. These sorts of warehouses are made better than some prisons, with customs officers bringing with them high security, because they are so integral to the global supply chain, and also because those stored goods have yet to be taxed. Ultimately, bonded warehouses are an excellent way to save and the cost of safely importing and exporting goods, no matter what they are or how they need to be stored. Using bonded warehousing services also adds value to your business. The money your company saves not paying duty and value-add tax until after the sale of goods means a much more efficient business with fewer costs. So now you know why bonded warehousing is so beneficial.
Application. An applicant seeking to establish a bonded warehouse must take written application to the local CBP port director describing the premises, giving the location, and stating the class of warehouse to establish. The application must state whether the warehouse is to be operated only for the storage or treatment of merchandise belonging to the applicant, or whether it is to be operated as a public bonded warehouse. If the warehouse is to be operated as private bonded warehouse, the application must also state the general character of merchandise to be stored therein, with an estimate of the maximum duties and taxes that will be due on the merchandise at any time. Time the merchandise can stay in the bonded warehouse. Foreign merchandise that enters may remain at the bonded warehouse for up to 2 years, with the exception of mercury and equipment, as well as administered developed tools and equipment, among others. Up to 18 months in the following cases: foods, lubricants, and other materials that are consumed during the production process of export. Raw materials, parts, and components to be fully integrated to allocate export goods, containers and packing, labels, and booklets. Up to 2 years in the case of containers and boxes trailers. For the program of maquila of export, they are machinery, equipment, tools, instrument, molds, and parts intended for production process.
Image. Mexico's image program is defined as an instrument to the temporability import goods and services that will be manufactured, transformed, or repeat, and the re-export without payment of taxes, compensatory quotas, and the specific benefits. In the past, there used to be two separate programs in Mexico, PITES, for the temporary import and export, and the Maquila program for Maquila specific operations. The new IMEX program consolidates the benefits and the legacy programs and facilitates interaction with government authorities to operate under the program.